Sports TV, man. That's my dude. I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.
Flight Sports TV, that's where it's at.
Flight Sports TV.
What's going on, people? It's Flight Sports TV. You already know what it is. We got breaking news right now involving Coach Prime Deion Sanders. Listen, Colorado tonight with a dominant performance. You got to just pay the utmost homage. You know, as of right now, nobody expected Colorado to be this dominant tonight. But ladies and gentlemen, Flight Sports did. You understand? We got a lot to break down involving this game, involving this matchup. Right now, Colorado has their foot all in UCF right now. The score is 48-21. Travis Hunter, he just went completely ballistic once again. This is the best game, in my humble opinion, in the Coach Prime era. A lot of people might date back to the first game last year against TCU, but this game to me was very dominant. You understand? I truly believe homage must be paid. And listen, Prime brought everybody out. You see Cam Newton. You see what's going on with Khaled. You got Ricky Rose in the building. You understand? And I love the way Deion Sanders, continued, the success of the Colorado Buffaloes. They easily could have been on the high horse and pissed this game away. Shedeur Sanders tonight, he continued. They had a whole bunch of NFL scouts in attendance, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to report to you it was 8 NFL teams there to see Travis Hunter play live. You understand? They went crazy tonight. Coach Prime Deion Sanders continues to define the odds. A lot of people have counted him out. Every week, homage is being paid more and more and more. This was big time, and this was a delayed kickoff today due to the weather. Travis Hunter today just went crazy. And like I said, it was a lot of talk going on. We're going to get into Mr. Richard Sherman because he pretty much stuck it to Richard Sherman today. Richard Sherman was talking about how he this on the receiving end and this and that. Travis Hunter is the best player in college football. You understand? I know that might upset a couple of people. A lot of people got their hands and time caught up with Shedeur Sanders. You understand? But clearly, what's going on right now with this guy, Travis Hunter, is nothing short than spectacular. He continues to make the case for his, Heisman Award situation. And mind you, Colorado now is accumulating the wins. This is something that wasn't going on before, when now they're getting the W's, so I'm very ecstatic now that Colorado is winning. This is big time, man. We're going to break it all down. It's Flight Sports. We're just getting started, and the game is not ended. But make sure this is your post game. Stop because we're going to break this whole game down for you. I got my man All Access Dex. The game ain't over just yet. What's your thoughts on Coach Prime Deion Sanders and the CU Buffs?
Yes, sir. First of all, let me thank you once again for inviting me into your platform and integrating me into your stream. It's a humbling experience to be here at Flight Sports TV, and I appreciate the privy to be able to espouse, elaborate, and have dialogue about sports and life in general. This is awesome. The Colorado Buffaloes survived the eye of the storm. It is mad crazy out there on the I-4 corridor. And Colorado came in cool, calm, and collected. Homecoming for Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, Neon Deion, Prime Time, whatever nomenclature that you attach to this man. He has came back as a prodigal son and put up a doozy with his squad on CUF football. Like, listen, CUF are the bruisers of are the bruisers of collegiate football, being the number one rush team in the nation and just bruising people week in and week out on the ground in pounds, 4 yards and a plume of smoke. Coach Prime and his crew, Livingston and Shermer, came in with an awesome game plan flight and they executed to the T. And I'm telling you, it brought tears to Mother Teresa watching this kind of episode with the finish of the miracle in Folsom and not be drunk or stupor on that celebration and come in here focused and put a devil's whooping on CUF. And Frank,
Yeah.
it is incredible that Shador Sanders, the cool, calm, and collected quarterback that he is, have passed for 290 yards thus far in 3 touchdowns. He had one blemish, but it's okay because Travis Hunter and company helped erase that blemish by collecting numerous turnovers for the Buff defense and stout as it was. Like,
Yes, absolutely. I want to point out a couple things to you and the audience. Listen, a lot of people are surprised today because Colorado, they had a nice rushing attack, Dex. They ran the ball probably most exceptional as I've seen in like forever. They had a balanced attack. You seen Pat Shermer, he was able to dig deep into the playbook today. Also, it was a situation going on with the Russian attack for UCF. Everybody thought they was going to be running wild. It was crazy to see Colorado, put it on them. They have a physical quarterback too in UCF. I thought they would have played a little bit better. I don't know what exactly happened, but Colorado, they stomped their ass out. What do you think about the way Colorado ran the ball today? Because people thought the UCF was going to come with that attack. Let me know if you can hear me. Yeah, but Dex has some technical difficulties. Listen, UCF, man, I'm telling you, a lot of people didn't expect UCF to explode, was going to just go off on Colorado, but it didn't happen the way it did, man. Colorado had a pretty much great game. Like I said, I have to admit to you, man, this was the best game ever. Colorado, they blew out UCF. Shador Sanders threw for, another one of those. Shador went crazy, just to point out, man. He just continues to prove why he should be the first quarterback taken in the upcoming NFL draft. And like I said, they coming at him, and he continues to, thread the needles. That's just good. Look like you blacked out on us.
yes, the door is made of Teflon, like, and I'm talking about of the strongest fabric. It is amazing that this guy gets put down on the tundra as much as he does, and he gets back up and keep on ticking like the ever ready bunny. He hit multiple receivers. He has the ball off to the back. He runs to try to extend possessions and plays. It is awesome that Shadur Sanders is what he is today. And we can't say enough about the way that this young man curates his offensive set and have them drive down the field with confidence, with Shadur Sanders spinning that pigskin. You know that there's always a chance that you're going to win the game and you don't feel that you are out of contention when Shadur Sanders spin that pigskin. Like,
What do you think about Travis Hunter? What you think about Travis today, man? He hit him with the Heisman pose. It was 8 NFL scouts there to see Travis. How do you think he continues to deliver, especially coming off that last game that he just wilded out and saved? What did you see from Travis today?
I saw Travis Hunter being at his best, very composed, uh, coming off of the embarrassing debacle debate with Richard Sherman. Um, could be a possible Hall of Fame member of the Legion of Doom for the Seattle Seahawks about his bland route running or receiving demonstrations. Travis Hunter showed that he can be a very impactful player on both sides of the ball, getting an interception, getting a touchdown, making some solid plays, breaking up pass plays, and putting the lumber down on opposing ball carriers. Travis Hunter is just one of those guys that you can call a rock of Gibraltar. He is something that is sturdy and practically you can rely on him to come up with some kind of play without being a gadget, just being a high IQ processor when he's out there covering the 100 yards of turf. Like,
Yeah, like I said, this guy Travis Hunter's on his way to the NFL. Like I said, number one pick, is my humble opinion. It's no question. I know there's a lot of names out there for the Heisman. They It talks about what's going on with Colorado, that record could be the reason why he gets held out of the Heisman. But I'm telling you now, Colorado continues to accumulate these wins. That's going to definitely, move the needle forward, in my humble opinion. Now, I'm just very excited. Everybody seemed to be involved, today. It seemed like everybody, had a complete game from all different sides. I think everybody today, from special teams to the offense to defense, everybody had a hand in this victory. And also they're doing a better job. Tell me if you don't see this, Dex, in the chat. How are they protecting Shedeur Sanders? What's going on? Did somebody go in there and meet with them? What happened? What's going on with the increased protection for Shedeur? Because he's got a lot more time now. Now you see the running game opening up. What are you seeing on that offensive line, Dex? What's your thoughts on the improvement that they made?
well, yes, there's always room for improvement. I'm not just totally sold on the offensive line. I have seen some flaws that look very disturbing and horrific at times. But the magical legs of Shedeur Sanders keeping the play alive and the high processing of his receiving core, moving around, getting to open spots, and allowing Shedeur Sanders to hit the target, despite the offensive line crashing out at times. It, some of the runs were very good. And then it seemed like they lulled themselves to sleep. They have one or two successful plays, and then the offensive line do something a little goofy, miss assignments and things of that nature. But but the high processing of Shedeur Sanders and his receiving core bails that offensive line out at times. Now, I'm not going to totally just dismantle the offensive line, but the offensive line got to rest assured that they have to complete the task at hand, not one or two plays consecutively, but they have to group a gang of plays and execution throughout the 60 minutes of football that they are engaged in. Once the offensive line makes that commitment and be able to win the war of attrition against opposing defenders, pinning their ears back, trying to gobble up Shedeur Sanders because of his celebrity, because of his wherewithal, because of he's Coach Prime's son. Don't you know they want to lick him, pause, a good time out there on that football field so he can be an Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook highlight? So the offensive line have to realize this. And once again, I'm gonna have to reiterate myself. Like, is that the offensive line gonna have a type of mindset that if a plane was falling on that field, they should gather and surround Shadur Sanders to protect him as if he was an Eskimo in an igloo. Like,
Well, so another thing for the people that's joining us right now, quarterback Shador Sanders, he finished with 290 yards, 3 touchdowns on 28 of 35 passing. So this was big for Shador Sanders. It just wasn't Travis running away with it. Like I said, this wasn't a bland game tonight for Travis Hunter. Despite Richard Sherman calling him a bland receiver and this, that, and the third. It is what it is, but I will tell you this. What are you going to say now with Colorado? Because in my humble opinion, I think they are going to put together a very competitive season. Who can't they beat? I think they're putting together something special. Next, they got Kansas State, which is pretty solid. If I'm not mistaken, I think they running back went to Kansas State too. I got to look and see if Dylan Edwards, if he even getting any run over there. But that's going to be an interesting game, man. And they ranked 23, Dex. I know we're a little ahead. We celebrating this victory. What's your thoughts on them possibly going 3-0? Kansas State seems to be a very formidable opponent. Can they defeat Kansas State in
no doubt,
Colorado?
Flight. No doubt, Flight. I mean, they couldn't be at a better time and space right now in collegiate football. All eyes are glued on Colorado, despite Georgia and Alabama playing tonight. The talk of the town is the Colorado Buffaloes. CU Buff Nation. I mean, go, go, go. Kansas State won today to beat Oklahoma State Cowboys. And so Kansas State will probably move up in the rankings, maybe to around 21, from 23 to 21 by the time Monday rolls around. But guess what? There's a new sheriff in town. You don't think the Colorado Buffaloes, after this tremendous win on the road in the eye of the storm, that they won't move up and get votes and get into the top 25, which they barely missed out last week getting in the top 25. But now I think it's a sure in that the Colorado State will be a top 25 ranked team come Monday. So there will be two bottom portion of the top 25, Kansas State and Colorado, locking horns, bumping helmets, smashing shoulder pads on a ground and pound day up at Folsom Field Flight. And I believe that the Colorado Buffaloes will come out on top. And this is why. Like I told you guys, Colorado will beat CFU. Now, I didn't say it was going to beat them by this much, but I knew the game was go over. You have Colorado as a 14.5-point underdog, and Shador Sanders and company coming off of the ridiculous criticism coming from some of mainstream media's biggest haters as they pull off the miracle in Folsom Field. I knew this would carry over. That momentum is strong. I knew Colorado wouldn't come into this game drunk on stupor and over exaggerating their presence in college football. Fox Sports TV added this game flight. What a brainstorm. They added this game onto their noon slate of noon boom football for the Big 12 Conference on Fox Sports TV. And did they do a doozy? Yes, there was a lot of eye candy for Colorado, and it will continue to be that way even when they return home safely and get prepared for Kansas State next week. Flight. We would be totally remiss, my good brother.
That's right.
We would be totally remiss if we didn't highlight the Colorado Buffalo defense in the fourth quarter. Did you see the pounding, the gruesome, bloodshed, bludgeoning they put on CUF in the fourth quarter when they needed movement the most? They turned them over. Soon as CFU thought they was moving the ball fancy down the field, the Colorado Buffs got together, turned them over, and gave the ball back to Shador, shortening the CUF time of possession. I love
It's UCF, Dax. UCF, pardon me,
I
Dax.
mean, yeah, excuse me. Yeah, I'm sorry. UCF time of possession. Colorado has turned into Florida West. Flight. Colorado has turned into Florida West. It's crazy how these Southern boys get up there in the Rocky Mountains and show their ass. They show up and show out. So that defense was stout. It was firm. It was sustainable. And once again, they offer another team in the fourth quarter, Flight.
What's impressing you most about Coach Prime, Dex? What are you seeing from him specifically? We know about Shador. We know about Travis. What are you seeing from Coach Prime specifically?
Listen, Coach Prime has bit a chunk off of his ego, Flight. He has dialed it back, and he has basically declared war on himself because he is so itching just to allow Shador to sling the ball all around the field, right? The adjustment that you've seen for Coach Prime is that he has balanced his offense despite how he feels about his approach to balance. Because we heard Coach Prime say something insidious, talking about nobody cares about balance when you're winning. No, that ain't what we want to hear from you, Coach Prime. We want to hear that you have the ability and the audacity to adjust. And we're watching that he has bit off a chunk of his ego. He have adjusted. He has allowed Coach Shermer to deliver the offense. I'm saying that Coach Prime delegation, his delegation skills are on an all-time high because we know Coach Prime is a very celebrated person and he knows this. So for him to dial back his ego and delegate and trust Coach Shermer with his son and with Travis Hunter to the utmost and call the right plays at the right time. This is what I'm looking at and observing from Coach Prime, and it is magnificent, Flight. It is magnificent to see Coach Prime able to delegate the way he delegates with trust, Flight.
What's the difference in this season opposed to last year? Because last year, because this to me personally, Dex, and the chat, this is their best game yet, in my opinion. Y'all let me know if it's anything else. This was reminding me of that TCU game that they won last year. Last year Colorado got off to a hot start, and they had the rug ripped right from underneath them. This season to me seems a little bit different. I felt like they went through some adversity early against Nebraska. They know what it feels like. I think they turning the page right now, Dex. What are you seeing this season opposed to last?
Well, first of all, Flight, coming into this season, we knew, I'm talking about the good guys, us, the good guys. We knew that the Colorado Buffaloes, under the dictation of Coach Prime, wasn't going to be world beaters. We knew that they was going to have a tough season. We knew that teams and universities envy Colorado at this point, right? I'm talking about some of the most prominent universities because all eyes have descended on Folsom Field in Boulder, Colorado. So we knew coming into the season, Colorado was going to receive the best of every team. Nobody was going to sleepwalk playing Colorado. Colorado was not going to be a trap game for any team coming in to the season, whether Colorado had a better roster than that opponent or if they had an underwhelming roster against that opponent. It didn't matter. They was going to get the best of the teams. So last season was a learning curve. And that Stanford game, oh my gosh, should we go back and reminisce over that Stanford game? It brings nightmare like Freddy Krueger on Elm Street. But that Stanford game, I believe, brought a level of maturation to Colorado because that halted and stymied their momentum when they lost that game. I mean, they just went into a dark place and became a sunken ship, even worse than a Titanic when it was all said and done with that Stanford game. So I believe that was their pivotal point, and I believe Coach Prime this season up there in the Rockies constantly reminded them not to get too high, not to get too low, but to close out the deal and finish the job when you have them down. So tonight, this could have been one of those games where Colorado relinquished the momentum and eventually lose the lead based on them celebrating too soon, too early, too often. Coach Livingston have brought the defense down to a level where smash mouth is the order of the day instead of being fancy and free. No, we're playing smash mouth football and we're going to enjoy it. So that's one of the key differences I've seen since last season. And we cannot ignore the importance and the practicality of Hall of Famer Warren Sapp. I mean, he left the Jason Whitlock show, being the big teddy bear, to being that monster that we have all come to love about Warren Sapp. And he brought that vicious, tenacious defense and instilled in these young men the capability of appreciating a rapacious appetite to dominate and destroy. And now that we are observing the Warren Sapp factor on that defensive line, because they played one of the better running quarterbacks in the league. Like, I know Cam Ward is probably top dog in that, and it looks like Archie Manning is right behind him, but that damn quarterback for UCF is a dog. And they put a bruising on that big guy. He's like a black Ben Roethlisberger.
I like that quarterback, Dax. He was running motherfuckers over.
He was running people over. And, you know, he reminded me of Vince Young when they played USC in the national championship game. The second half of that Rose Bowl appearance, where I was there live, watched the game because I worked the Rose Bowl that year. I didn't have a seat because, you know, when you work, they let you in, but you don't get a seat because it's sold out. There's nowhere for you to sit. You can stand. You can stand anywhere in the stadium. But Vince Young was having people bounce off of him like he was rubber. And this is what I'm watching with this quarterback. So this guy, I mean, he's going to be a terror in the Big 12 as the season unfolds. But Colorado, they bit, but they didn't break. And as ferocious as this quarterback was in his desire to gain a positive yards, Colorado kept coming after. You saw Colorado being a little weary at moments in the second half, but somehow, some way, Coach Livingston and Warren Sapp got into the ears of the defense and told them, do not fold. This is not a good time to fold right now. There's too much happening in Florida, and we want to leave Florida on a good note. Okay? There's a lot of devastation on the I-4 corridor. The game was delayed, and then they interrupted the game to play baseball, and everybody's scrambling to see the remnants of the remainder of the Colorado UCF football. And you hear now with Flight Sports TV. So those are the things that we have to keep in mind. Like that defense, I believe, what is that linebacker for Colorado? What is his name? He had 9 tackles today. I mean, when you look at the defense and the things that they did, they turned him over 3 times, 2 fumbles, hard hit fumbles, and an interception from Travis Hunter, diving interception, very difficult aerial catch that he made, and Colorado defense is just improving. They gave up 21 points last season. This would have been probably a 50-point letdown from Colorado. But like I said, Warren Sapp and Livingston, who is a first-time defensive coordinator coming from the Cincinnati Bengals coaching staff, has done a tremendous job in turning the identity of the Colorado football team around and making them bruisers as well, and not just about finesse. Like,
Absolutely. I want to pose a couple of things to the people that's just joining us. What really impressed me a lot with Shador was in the beginning, that first series. Obviously it was an interception. I thought that he got a little gun ho right there. I thought they could have been a little bit more patient, but then he throw the into and they look, and Coach Prime had him. He came right. You see the camera go with him and Deion. You hear Deion telling him, calm down, calm down. I don't know if people seen these little incremental shots, that was going on. He's telling them, calm down. Then he went out there, and I believe the next drive they went down for a touchdown. So and I heard Colorado, they saying like the first two series, that's going to define the game. I heard that's what Deion said, their first two possessions, that's going to define how they're going to play. So they went through adversity the first time, and the second time, they have their endings in triumph. So, I mean, I'm very impressed at what's going on. I think that Colorado, they are made for the long haul. They made for them wars. They made for them tough games. And like I said, the offensive line is stepping up. And if that's the case, Lord have mercy, you're going to have Shador Sanders flinging this shit all over the goddamn place. But shout out to everybody in the chat. Where are all the haters? You understand? Where's Paul Feinbaum and the crowd of the people that he runs with? You understand? Because nobody believed that CU was going to be a competitive team despite all of these weapons that they have here, despite all of these people that they have, at these coaching positions. From Sapp to Shermer, Deion. This NFL quality, shit going on over here. So I mean, that's why you see these guys performing at the level that they performed at. And then it was a touchdown that Shador threw. I think it was in the second quarter. I forgot who that dude named. That fucking pass was crazy.
Shepard,
yes. Oh man, that was the play. What you thought about that touchdown? That was crazy.
That was a Sunday flight. That's a play you see on Sunday. That's a Sunday play right there. That combination with Shador and Shepard was a Sunday football play that you sit in your living room, and that's what you see from that top flight of skill set from the NFL. He will fit right in, and he won't miss a beat when he gets to the next level. That was a superb pass and catch combination. Because, remember I said, who was I talking to last stream when somebody mentioned Will Shepard, he dropped that pass, which could have tied the Baylor game up earlier, despite them coming back anyway. And I said, you know what? He's going to save it for that Florida game, that University of Central Florida game. He's gonna make up. So don't even trip. And lo and behold, he came out smoking. Like them long legs, he was striding. He put those arms up, and man, he practically laid that in as if you put a baby in a bassinet. Like, oh my God, it was super. Go ahead, Flight.
No, I mean, like I said, those plays to me, they define the game, and they sent a gut punch through UCF. I'm pretty sure that first possession, when they sacked Shador, they end up, what's the name? He threw the interception. I started to think, oh, here we go again. I think the first play, they ran a running play. I think they lost yards. I said, oh, Lord, it's going to be one of them games today, So I like the way they overcame, the early adversity. UCF looked like they was trying to punch him in the face right away. And that seemed like what I've seen with a lot of teams. Nebraska did that to him. It looked like they hit him early and it was offset, all game. I didn't see that this game. I thought that they overcame the adversity pretty quickly and got the wheels back on the road. I want to ask you this, man, because Deion, he bringing the celebrities back out. You understand? They just had Babyface Ray in the goddamn situation doing a goddamn concert. Today you had Ricky Rose, you had Khaled, you had Cam Newton. The list goes on. A bunch of names we probably don't know. Michael Irvin. What do you think about all these celebrities popping back out? Before the game, it was reports that Deion invited Khaled and Rose. What you think about Deion and these celebrities? Do you think that it's the right time for this? Because it seems like a page is flipping, in CU. What you think about the way he moving like that?
Well, like to be honest with you, Coach Prime is Coach Prime, right? He's still Deion Sanders. He's still Neon Deion. You remember back in the day when Hammer was on the field and he had celebrities back in those days, Christopher Williams, Albie Shore, and all those cats come out to the Falcons and things of that nature. Now, Barlow from the San Francisco 49ers, I don't think he really allowed too much of that. So Deion only stayed 1 year, then he came to the Cowboys, and you already know he didn't need to bring out the stars because he had a star on his helmet. But nevertheless, that's just part of his caricature. That is part of the Neon Deion. That is part of the prime time. That is his caricature when he does that, bring out the stars and things of that nature. And also, Fat Joe was there, so it helps, right? Because these celebrities, when they come out, I'm quite sure they have private moments with the team and they can share certain things about their celebrity, about wealth management and things of that nature. It don't always have to be a financial advisor to give you financial advice. Sometimes these people want to hear from celebrities because a lot of these financial advisors, when they steal from you. I'm not saying the ones that speak to the team, but a lot of these financial advisors that these young men will aggregate and put them a part of their team, eventually they start stealing and things of that nature. So when you got celebrities out here sharing information about being a public figure, how everybody's watching you and you have to be careful. Khaled was very close to P. Diddy. Fat Joe was close to P. Diddy. So we don't know if some of these P. Diddy accusations could have been shared amongst some of these Colorado Buffalo young men who look to these celebrities as very influential. And Deion Sanders just wants the information to be disseminated. You follow what I'm saying? He's not trying to be the holder of the information or the gatekeeper of the information. He wants an array of men and women who have undergone certain aspects of life that they can share with great veracity to these young men here at CU Buff Nation. And I think it's fantastical to have that kind of cachet where you can bring in people that some of these young men admire to some degree.
Yeah, most definitely. I want to ask you another question, Dex. As I'm looking through the chat, everybody talking about the haters. Clearly, Deion has a wealth of supporters, but then he has a wealth of haters. How do you think the haters are dealing with this success from Colorado? Because it seemed like this shit about to keep rolling, man. Some seems different. How are the haters compartmentalizing all this shit that's going on right now? Because I know they sick.
Well, the haters never go away. Only thing they do is just rescind into the bushes. So right now, the haters have been deduced to dust, but dust can formulate and create matter, right? I mean, now formulate and become matter, solid matter, right? And solidify. So the haters right now, they're dust because the big hammer done came down on them. Colorado is on a winning streak, and they're winning in grand fashion. And listen, Colorado is convincing a lot of cynics. So we have to separate those who are cynical, those who are skeptical, from those who are naysayers and disbelievers and straight up haters, right? So there's a division there. You can win over those who are cynical, right? You can win them over because they just slightly pessimist and they don't know if they can really trust for what they've seen last season with the Colorado Buffaloes, right? Oh my God, rendezvous. Here we go again. This is a deja vu moment. But this is different. It's something different. It's just different. Like this Colorado team is just different. And the coaches that he had with him this season is nothing like the coaches he had last season, because a lot of those coaches last season, we got to admit, they came with agendas, right? And Coach Prime accepted that based on the fact that he had to have some kind of sturdiness and some kind of respectability on his coaching staff. So, he dealt with a lot of the coaches who had hidden and secret agendas being a part of the allure and the attraction of Coach Prime on his coaching staff. So that's something of the past now. What you have now are football coaches, football players who want to coach and have an impact on these young men's lives and be very directional. That is key, Flight. That the coaching staff he have now are very directional. And let me share this with you, Flight. I don't know how many listen, first of all, shout out to everybody in the chat. I love your engagement, but please hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Don't let us just stand there on 9,000 subscribers when you guys are flooding in the floodgate. Hit the subscribe button. Make the channel grow. Be a part of something maybe, outside of yourself where you can be a brick in the wall. So hit that subscribe button and also hit that notification bell, because Flight has a treasure trove in his vault of great content. And so when you hit that notification bell, you will be notified and you won't miss one iota of an exuberant experience. So Flight. So last season, it was a build. It was like a Bilderberg meeting. So, we all come to the collective, but we all want to leave out with something individually. So that was a Bilderberg meeting. It wasn't a round table of masterminds. Now he has a round table of masterminds that is not looking to be isolated, but is looking to be a part of the collective. And this is why you see a different approach. You see a different culture being tapestry throughout the Colorado Buffalo University. And this kind of fabric is not easy to duplicate. The interwoven of the fabric is not easily to be duplicated. So therefore, you will rarely see a facsimile of what Colorado is doing under the leadership of Deion Sanders. And like I said, Flight, I'm enjoying the journey. I love to see this kind of journey when people count you out, but you count yourself in and you come with the results, Flight.
Most definitely, man. And these results right here are just, like I said, just overwhelming. I see D-Mac in the chat. He says, come out, haters, come out. It's okay. Oh, they're going to definitely have to come out and resurface. Or they just waiting for some bad stuff to happen, maybe for them to take a loss, for them to pile it on. That's what they do with Colorado. They hold back, what they want to say good, and they wait for something bad so they could just throw it all on them. It seems like, and a lot of this is, because of Coach Prime Deion Sanders and the hate that a lot of people have for him. He's really the most polarizing figure in sports, and it's not even close. CU tonight, they laid the smackdown on UCF. Nobody had Colorado winning tonight. A lot of people thought UCF and that running attack was just going to overwhelm Coach Prime Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes, but that did not seem to be the case today. And like I said, a switch has flipped here. You hearing, like Dex said, Deion is delegating responsibilities. You starting to see him lean a lot more on Pat Shermer, and I see that. I see the connection between the coach and the offensive coordinator. I see all that coming alive. Also I see what's going on with Shedeur Sanders and the offensive coordinator Pat Shermer. Something magical is happening there. You understand? And I just wanted to continue. Today Pat Shermer was able to dig deep into the playbook because finally they had a running attack. You heard Coach Prime Deion Sanders tell everybody, now we can do it all. Now they got to worry about the run game. You understand? That was the most craziest thing that I've seen of all of CU. Nobody believed they had a run game. Not like they was running the hell out the ball today, y'all. You understand? And then when they ran that play action, that's how the touchdown happened. The first one happened with Travis. It was because of the goddamn running attack. You understand? He went play action. You understand? Shedeur and caught Travis Hunter right there. Travis walks in there with the touchdown. It's just too much weaponry going on with Colorado. They are just overwhelming teams with their talent. And Shedeur is on a mission to prove that he is the best quarterback. And clearly Travis is on a mission to prove he's the best player in college football. What's your thoughts on this, Dex? Talk to us.
Yes, you hit the hammer on the nail. I couldn't say it better myself. So kudos to you and the way that you just elaborated on the aspect of Colorado football and their two brightest stars in Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. And Flight, listen, their run game, I believe this is the first game they got over 100 yards as a team. They got a run game by committee. And when you have multiple guys committed to this kind of fashion of football that we are witnessing with CU Buff Nation, it is something remarkable because there's no big I's or little U's in that running back room. All these guys can't wait for the opportunity to show and prove that they can get the job done, and they can get the job done for Coach Prime. Now, we know that everybody have an individual goal. There's nothing wrong with that, right? In team sport, there's nothing wrong with having an individual goal. But your individual goal cannot supersede the cohesiveness of the whole team goal. And it cannot be abrasive to the whole team goal. When that happens, you find yourself on the outs. And then you find yourself at other universities and you can't get a tick on the clock on the field. So this is a learning curve for those players who left abruptly from the Colorado Buffaloes football program and thought the grass was greener on the other side, but found out that it's rougher on the other side because those coaches that you ran into the bosom of, that you wanted a hug from, they had their own guys they brought in. They didn't bring in you. They look at you as an ancillary piece to the puzzle, and if they need you, they need you. If they don't, they don't. You just go back to the back of the room. So this is a learning moment for a lot of Colorado Buffalo football players who maybe had an ounce of doubt of what it may be like if they wore another uniform. And I'm glad that these group of guys chose to fight against that doubt because the devil is a lie. I'm glad they remain in the Colorado uniform and is pressing forward as a collective with the Colorado Buffaloes. And Flight, I'm glad that you chose the right side of history on this. I know that people have graced this platform and tried to sway you away from CU Buff Nation under the dictation of Coach Prime, and you stayed firm, steadfast, and ready to defend your position. Beautiful is it when a man makes up his mind to challenge the universe. So this is what you get when you hold fast to the vision, because You might not get the vision, but somebody that you may appreciate get the vision and bring you along, and you become successful within their vision more so than with your own vision. These things happen, and we think the law of attraction that they happen. So CU Buff Nation was a 14.5 point dog. Do you hear what I'm saying, chat? Do you hear what I'm saying, stream? They was a 14.5 dog, and they whipped the Bruisers, the best rush team in the college football nation, UCF, and they beat them by 27 points.
Yeah, Dex. They were undefeated. Also in the chat. I don't want nobody to scoff over this dub by Colorado. UCF, Dex. They was undefeated prior to this game. So y'all need to hold all that into consideration. Dex, you go with your connection. Shout out All Access, everybody in the chat. This is big business what's going on right now with CU, man. Colorado, they got the haters they don't know what to do. They don't know how to look left, right, up, down. Right now, all they got to do is just say they was wrong about Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, and the Colorado Buffaloes. It's still more time. You don't want to get too ahead of yourself, but listen, if like I said, nobody expected them to run better than UCF either. I mean, they beat them at their own game. That's why I think you got to hold all this into consideration, man. This was a dominant win. Back-to-back wins, and it was on the road in a hostile environment. Next game going up against Kansas State, I think, is going to be the big one. Because that's 3 in a row. And I think if Deion Sanders was able to secure 3 wins in a row, I think you really got to start taking Colorado a little bit more serious than you have. And like I said, they lost to Nebraska. That's no shame, no game in that. I mean, that's it. So shout out to all the people that's in the chat right now that think that's because they lost to Nebraska. It is what it is. I mean, they're a formidable squad, and it was in Nebraska. So what if they don't lose another one? And the way Colorado moving, there's something to be said about momentum, and that's what's happening right now with Colorado. They got the momentum. A lot of people thought Deion, Shador, Travis, their games wouldn't translate, to where they are at now. Let's stop acting like when they was up in JSU, people didn't think it was some fluke job. Now you're starting to see, oh no, it ain't none of that. You understand? Travis Hunter was the man back then, and he still is right now. And you can line up all these people. You understand? They ain't got nothing for Travis Hunter on both ends. You understand? Shador Sanders, he out on a mission to prove he the best quarterback in the country. You understand? And the more he continues, this play, the more it's going to be hard pressed to not, believe that. Shador Sanders is the truth and a half. We're going to get into Cormani McClain because Cormani was in attendance from all reports. I got to get into the reports. I'm going to be breaking down. Make sure you subscribe because we're going to be doing a piece on that, so you don't want to miss out when Flight Sports drop that video for the Cormani McClain situation. But briefly, if the reports are true, I mean, he's got to be sick. He talked a lot of shit. You understand? McClain was talking about how he didn't want to play for clicks. He didn't want to do this, that, and the third. And clearly, you see what's going on with CU. Ain't nothing about no clicks over here. It's not the jobs over there.
Well, they clicking as a team. They ain't about no social media clicks, but they're clicking as a team. I'm sorry that my microphone went out. I don't know what last did you hear me say, but it's all good.
No, you good. Talk about Cormani. The people want to know about what's going on with Cormani. Or from the reports of saying that he was in attendance. What's your thoughts on him? His thoughts? The chat is going crazy from Cormani.
Yeah. He wants to come back, right? He wants to be that prodigal son that we read about in the 4 Gospels. But see, the thing about it is that Cormani is kind of corrupted. I mean, I've got to call an ace and a spade a spade. This young man is kind of corrupted. It looks like he wants to be a money grubber. His mom is in the way of a lot of things, and so he's conflicted. I mean, he loves Coach Prime. Don't get me wrong. He loves Coach Prime, but he has to understand that he cannot be a spoiled to try to gather Coach Prime attention at the expense of the rest of the fellas. He got to come in as an equilibrium when it comes to Coach Prime attention. And now Coach Prime gave him numerous opportunities, put him in the doghouse as a punishment for him to get his head right and to recognize to keep the main thing, and that's playing football. Don't worry about no NIL deal. If you play football, you get out there in that tundra and you make the other team eat dirt because you're a good defensive back on the other side of Travis Hunter, then the NIL deal the floodgates will open. So that should be your main thing. Football should be your priority, not riding around in Hellcat and Corvette.
Okay. Thank you for that exercise in your life.
That was Marvin. He cut you off, Dex.
Okay, that was Marvin. Yeah, Marvin, you gotta get your situation straight, Marvin. So you know what I'm saying, Flight. So Coach Prime understands this, and most men of great stature understand this. You have to keep the main thing the main thing. The thing that got you the prominence that you currently hold, you have to keep that as a priority. So this is why you got three phases of achievement, right? You got prioritize, organize, stabilize. Once you have set your priorities, that meaning that nothing will sway you off of that ledge. You follow what I'm saying? You're going to die on that hill. That's your priority, right? Nothing can sway you from that. Then you have to organize your life, your lifestyle, your daily adventures, all your endeavors around your priorities. You have to organize all of that around your priorities. It cannot be contrast, or it cannot cause a detachment from your priority. If it does, then you have to eradicate it. You have to get rid of it. You have to just throw it to the side and maybe incorporate it in your life at another time. But at this moment, if it conflicts, you cannot associate yourself with it. Then, once you are able to prioritize and then organize your life around your priorities, then you become stable. You become stable. This is where stable lives come in. We all want to be stable. We all want to be able. We all want to be able to perform when we have to perform at a maximum. And this is what Coach Prime is teaching these young men, the ebbs and flows and the vicissitudes of life. This is what I love, right? And this is what Camardi have to understand. He have to understand there's direction. Things are directional. You cannot be haphazard, serendipity, going through life, hopping around like a happy bunny or a lippet. You cannot just be jumping around like a lippet, because we all know that lippets end up jumping off the edge of a cliff, right? So once he gets that kind of focus and incorporate that focus to be able to have that kind of a shell of a mindset, then I think he can reintegrate himself back into the bosom of CU Buff football. But right now, he's going through an identity crisis, and he just have to make up his mind with my help, right? He's one of Prime kids. He's there for him. But he has to welcome the consultation and the in a consideration from Coach Prime in order for that magic to rub off on this young man, and he can incorporate his talent and his focus into one thing, and he can be one of those selected on draft night. Like,
Do you think Colorado wins a bowl game? Are you confident in them after what we've seen? Or do they get to the bowl game?
didn't I just mention how Colorado has offered teams in the fourth quarter, numerous teams, Nebraska, um, Colorado State, UCF. These teams didn't score nada in the fourth quarter. I'm not sure if North Dakota State scored in the fourth quarter. I'm not sure. I remember they gave Colorado a scare, but I'm not sure if they actually hit a tub in the fourth quarter. But when you have a defense as stout, as ready, as rapacious, and tenacious with deleterious intent, that is the key right there. The Colorado Buffaloes, when it comes to the second half, they exercise a severe deleterious intent. And when you have that, that means you are able to shut teams down when it's come time to shut them down and say, you know what, not on my watch. So in that in itself, have shown the maturation of Colorado on that side of the ball.
Good call, Dex, man. Like I said, Colorado gonna continue. Basically, what Dex said, it seemed like Cormani has some issues going on. Watching these other guys, but that's neither here nor there. What I will say about the Buffaloes is the page is flipped. This running game does make them completely unstoppable now. I think this is an attack that a lot of people didn't see Colorado having. Everybody knew Shador. He gonna sit there. He gonna fling it all over the place. He can make every throw. Shador likes to stay in the pocket, even though we know he's got the ability to get up out of there and do some things with his legs. But now with these backs doing what they're doing, it's gonna open up everything. It's gonna open up the deep threats. That's why you're seeing so many crazy shots today. Because that running game was there. I think it's going to make Shador Sanders a much more deadlier quarterback. Colorado needs to figure out ways to sustain this level of play. I think that's the key to Colorado right about now, sustainability, because you can't have, these two great games and then come back to Boulder and get stomped on by Kansas State. It just wouldn't be a good look. It's just like we done went in one big ass circle. You understand? So it's gonna be key to see what they do. It's gonna be very interesting. I'm gonna be eyes and ears, and we are rooting for Colorado. If you're excited tonight,
No doubt.
if you're excited for this win tonight, make sure you hit the subscribe button. You understand? We bring in a lot of Colorado news, updates, and more. So much to break down. It's not even funny. You understand? What were you about to say, Dan?
No, I was like, no doubt, man. You're preaching to the choir right there, Flight. Now, those pessimists and those who are skeptical on Colorado, I think their shell is opening for new information to be inserted in order for them to become believers. Like Coach Prime say, do you believe? Do you believe? Do you believe now? Do you believe? Do you believe now? I mean, this term, do you believe, have resonated throughout the CU Buff University, and the echoes have reverberated throughout the landscape of collegiate football. I mean, it has the decibels been increased into which the tundra itself has been shaken and needs relief from CU Buff Nation. Do you believe? This is something that has been inscribed in the hearts and soul of CU Buff football. And we want this to continue. I know Colorado hit a dead spot last season. I don't see them hitting a dead spot this season because the Pac-12, we have to be honest. Last season, the Pac-12 was a gruesome gauntlet for CU Buff Nation coming off of a 1-11 season to try to make noise in that star-studded quarterback Pac-12. They got their bumps, they got their bruises. Now they're in the Big 12, and it's more of, ground and pound, 3 yards and a plume of smoke. They are able to make their adjustments. And so they needed ferocious, die-hard, hungry coaches like Warren Sapp, who did it on all levels. He did it in college. He did it in the pros. He did it in high school to build men because, Flight, in all actuality, Flight, that the game don't change. It's just the name. The game remains the same. The only thing changed is the name. Warren Sapp is no longer in high school. Warren Sapp is no longer in college. Warren Sapp is no longer in the NFL. But there are players who pursue the game like a Warren Sapp. And these are the young men that he's trying to relate to and attach himself to and bring them to Colorado so they can have a fruitful collegiate career. And this is something that is special when you bring in coaches of his ilk that is so dynamic, and there's tape on Warren Sapp. He's not just chopping it up. He's not just bumping his gums. He's not just talking because he got lips. The man got tape. Coach Prime got tape. Dennis Thurman, all these guys, they got tape on what they can do. And so when you see CU Buff Nation bringing in a run package to play a bruiser team like UCF and taking it back to the days of Rashawn Salam and Eric Bieniemy and those high caliber players, so these young players could look and see that Colorado have done this before. And when you reminisce down memory lane, you can see big, stout players who have done it on this level in a black and gold uniform, but a new stadium, Folsom Field, that these young men can do the same, and they can make their indelible mark on collegiate sports themselves. And that's what is so encouraging when you encounter these young men and you watch them and you look at their eyebrows, you look at their pupils in their eyes and how it dilates when they see their comrade out there giving it their all, that they want to be participant of such magnificent events. Like,
Call that, Dex. Good call. Colorado, man, this was a big time win, y'all. Shout out to Welch went crazy. You right about that. Hayden and Welch. Welch was wild. I think he was probably one of the keys to the game to me. The way that he was running that goddamn ball, especially early, bulldozing. Dex, do you think that this running attack could continue and sustain itself, or do you think that this was just a flash in the pan? Because we ain't never seen them run like this. Do we need to slow down, or is this the new norm for CU?
well, actually, Flight, I think it's the new norm. Like I said, Deion Sanders have bit off a chunk of his ego, and he has delegated the offense to Coach Shermer, and it's a wonderful thing, to be able to trust and expand. This is what we love to be as humans. We want to trust, we want to expand, but we're dealing with a lot of devils. So this is why that we don't expand. We become more inclusive because people tend to betray you and become diabolical with their debauchery. So we keep a little something to ourselves to remain mysterious to keep them off balance. But in actuality, all we want to do is trust and expand. There's nothing wrong with trusting and expansion. And this is what Deion or Coach Prime is actually exemplifying to us, but he's doing it on a sports level. He's doing it on the sideline. He's doing it as a coach. A very difficult thing to do when you are Coach Prime. And this is what makes him unique because, albeit he has been spectacular when he was part of the sports world on the field, whether if it was a diamond or if it was 100-yard tundra. He has shown that he can get the job done and close out and be spectacular, not only with individual accolades, but you're playing with a group of guys as large as a football team that team camaraderie has to be one of the most important aspects of football. I'm not saying we have to get along off the field, but when we're on the field, we have a job assignment. And in order for us to be happy of what's going on out there in the field, each individual have to do their job assignment. And what we seen today, we saw a few busts in the coverage. We saw a few, how can I say this the right way? We saw a few guys um, lose their gap integrity. And we saw big plays from the quarterback, a few big plays from the running back. K. Jefferson was just outstanding. Like I said, remind me of a Vince Young, a Ben Roethlisberger, those type of big quarterbacks who are bruisers but can sling that pigskin. And so they have to show up every game to try to improve. These young men, because you can't just be down on them because they're winning. But there's always room for improvement. And some of the things that I saw tonight with the defense, I thought that they might have kind of surrendered a little too soon at times because some of those plays that UCF gashed them with were plays where it looked like some players tucked the play off and was hoping somebody else make a play. So I'm hoping that's not fatigue. Because if it is, then they need some severe conditioning because they have to win the war of attrition every down. They have to be successful. They have to convince themselves they can beat the guy on the other side of the ball every freaking play. They have to remind themselves that they are the superior factor when it comes to executing the X's and O's on that tundra, that 100-yard field. So that is very excruciating to watch at times when we see that some of these defensive players have taken the play off, and players from other side of the field have to make the play, and that shouldn't happen like that. Not as much as it did tonight because the game was wrapped up, it was sold, and the players seemed like they wanted to hurry up and get the hell up out of there before another storm comes, and it benefited UCF when they went into that dilapidated mindset. Like,
Yeah, good call there, Dax. Man, Colorado, they're just going to continue their winning ways, man, just point blank, period. The next game is going to be a tall task for me. I want to see that game because I want to see what version of CU are we going to be getting. You know, are they going to go back to their old ways or are they going to continue? I think that I'm not ready to say that This could be the new norm. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I do think Colorado is basking in the success as a team. That they are experiencing, almost like euphoria right now, in my humble opinion. And I think that they are enjoying this moment, and I think they want it to continue. I don't think they want it to end. So I think that's going to bode well for Colorado. The speeches, the celebrations now, I think everything is going to mean a whole lot more. When you hear Deion speaking now, these celebrations they having in the locker room, these celebrities running around, it's like you want this to continue. You don't want this to end abruptly. We all know that things can go left. Just they got to have some sustainability. Even last game, they went through some adversity where they could have lost, they could have threw in the towel, but they still stuck around and hung in there. This game, they could have let the first series, kind of derail them. Like I said, Shador started off throwing an interception. He was targeting Travis Hunter, and he threw a goddamn interception. Shador easily could have hung his head and said, "Oh man, the hell with this thing." And then now you see a trickling down effect. Going down. Now you see the defense slacking, special teams slacking. Everything starts falling apart. But CU has not allowed that to happen as of late. The next possession, I want to go back to the beginning because Coach Prime has said the first two series will determine how the game is going to go. When they was on defense, basically they got some stops. They was able to hold them, and then they end up getting an interception on the dude the next go around. So I think all of this stuff, is proven to us that Colorado is ready for prime time. They are ready for adverse situations. They are no longer the team that we've dealt with in the past where they will fall apart, or crumble, in the clutch. That didn't seem to be the case this go around. So I think that's a huge, talking point in my humble opinion. It truly is. Shout out Chuck Morris, all y'all in the chat. My man Highway Master says, "Die no, die good." The other teams know Buffs are good this year. Nebraska snuck by. Nebraska punched them in the face. Give Nebraska credit. What's your thoughts, Dak?
Yeah, well, to go back on the Nebraska game, I just believe that that buff response from that game is tremendous, and the bounce back and the resiliency they have shown since that game is terrific. That was one of those type of games where both we beat Nebraska Cornhuskers last season, right? I'm speaking as a Colorado. So we beat them last season. They didn't feel that Nebraska had improved to that degree because the quarterback they had last season, they don't have this season. They have the true freshman that many people are comparing to Patrick Mahomes, right? So that was a dynamic they didn't have to face last season, a dual threat quarterback that early. So that caught them off guard. Nebraska, they won that boxing match. But the second half of that game, the Colorado defense once again was stout, shut out Nebraska. They did not hit pay dirt, man, other time from the third quarter to the fourth quarter. And playing a team like Nebraska, a rivalry, it's a rivalry game. You got to admit it's a rivalry game since the 90s. And late 80s, excuse me. Late 80s into the 90s. And being in the midst of a sea of red, that was probably overwhelming for some of those Colorado players. But they learned their lesson. They got their juice, and so now they moved on, and now they're on the 3-game winning streak since that embarrassing debacle down there in Lincoln, Nebraska. But Flight, one thing, like I said, I want to harpen on, and I'm trying to inculcate this to the stream, right? Is that defense. They gave up 21 points. Colorado defense has individual statistics ranked in the top 15 in the nation. You follow what I'm saying? So that defense have improved tremendously. And this is how you're going to win and be eligible for bowl games is to be able to stop a team when things get hectic. So when things get hectic, they're going to have to come together And somebody going to have to stand up and be accounted for to stop them on downs and turn the ball over. That's why I'm harping on the defense. And when you look at some of these players on the individual level and what they have done in this game defensively, it raises an eyebrow. And it raises an eyebrow of surprise in a good way, right? Because you got Hill Green. He had a total of 9 tackles, but 6 of those tackles were solo. You had Walker. 5 of his tackles were solo. You had Stoudemire. 5 of his tackles were solo. You had Simon Craig. 5 of his tackles were solo, and so on. So these guys are out here putting helmets to shoulder pads and making plays. And they also is scrambling to the ball carrier as a gang. These Colorado players are out here doing drive-bys. They turning these people over. They stopping them in their tracks. They shortening their possessions and giving the ball to Shedeur for an extended play. These young men are out here doing drive-bys. And do we need to mention the mentality of the coaches? Not the main coaches, but some of the coaches in the background. Do you hear how these guys get down? These guys ain't no chumps. They ain't pacifying these players. You know, these are some real good black coaches that know how to motivate black kids, and it doesn't matter of their environmental level. They are showing these kids, we love you, but at the same time, we want you to be tough for the university, right? And then when you march and be called on draft day and partake in a Sunday NFL game, we want you to know that you was raised right in these individual rooms, the wide receiver room, the running back room, the quarterback room, the O-line room, the D-line room, the defensive back room, the linebacker room, the kicker room, in any aspect of special teams. They want you to show that development and demonstrate that you was raised right in these individual rooms that pervade your skill set. And I think that is very, very important. And I think that's a tail sign of development as well as nurturing. Because some of these universities may develop you, but they don't nurture you. And as black men, so-called African Americans, or whatever title we put on our shade, on our melanin, we need nurturing at this level in life, because a lot of times we get thrown to the wolves, and we know the world is not kind to young melanated men. Like,
yeah, man, you're making some good points there, Dax. It's crazy what's going on. With CU right now, major success. Coach Brown, Deion Sanders, and company. I'm just very ecstatic, for CU. I just want this to continue. Shedeur, I can't say enough things. Travis, I can't say enough things. If you are new here, just click at this live stream. Make sure you subscribe to Flight Sports. Make sure you pull up for the live streams. Hit the bell on the icon. Like I said, we're going to have a lot of updates and more for the people. So many things, layers, like we can't catch everything. So you don't want to miss everything leading up to our next game next week, which is going to be another big time one. It's going to be serious. CU is going to be looking to go for the jugular vein once again. I like this high that they're on right now. I believe the winning should continue. And like I said, it's going to be exciting. We're very excited for college football when Coach Prime is winning. Point blank. Period. What's the deal, Dax?
I want to ask you a question, Flight. How do you feel that once again, Shedeur Sanders with his generosity, right, and spinning that pigskin as he hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different receivers throughout this game and had a culmination of 28 completions. How do you feel that Shedeur Sanders is not just throwing the ball to Travis, but he's spreading it out. He's spreading that jelly out as he hit multiple receivers every freaking game.
Well, I think it's just the next evolution of him as a quarterback. Today, you did have 8 NFL scouts that was in attendance. He's proven to them that he's going to find the open man. A lot of people think the offense is Travis-centric. That's what you always hear from critics. We all know where the ball is going. It's going to Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is the most reliable catcher on his team. Every time he throws the ball to Travis, is usually some spectacular shit. So it feels like that's the only person he's throwing it to. He like Travis catching shit that he got no business catching. So that's why I'm saying when he catch a pass, it feel like goddamn that's the only person he pass it to. So it's some of that. But really, in all seriousness, he just proven that he is a winner. He will find the open man, the open weapon. And it's going to bode well for him when he gets to the NFL because he's not going to have Travis with him no more, but he's going to have another elite weapon next to him, I'm pretty sure, at that receiving position or on that team, wherever team he goes to. And listen, he's going to prove he's going to find the open man. Get the hell open and you will get that goddamn ball. That's what I believe he's proven.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you 100%. And it also shows that Shedeur Sanders is a high processor out there on the field. And when you are able to hit that many receivers week in and week out, it shows you that you're able to read your checkdowns and you're able to extend the play with your legs and your mind so you can hit some of the unsung receivers down the field. And he's not just doing dump offs, right? He's not deaking and dacking, right? This guy is throwing the ball downfield to these receivers because they might have 3 or 4 catches, but they have high yardage. And tonight, the longest pass play was to Will Shepherd, of course. That was 47 yards. But some of these receivers was averaging like 10 yards a catch. And that's not easy to occur in this kind of league where you only have 1 or 2 stars on your offensive unit, and you got to constantly try to feed them and get them the ball to put yourself in a winning position or even setting yourself up to win. So you got to tip your hat to Shedeur Sanders for being able to hit numerous receivers, and these receivers, get a gain of yards while Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders, they have their connection, but to have receivers with this many catches and lump sum of yards within a 60-minute period, it says a whole lot of 1 hour of football for your quarterback. It just basically demonstrates that this guy, if you is a sincere observer, is a very, very high processor. Like,
Yeah, we're gonna pull back up tomorrow, man. Shout out to you, Dex. This was an amazing game from CU.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, thank you for joining us. We're counting on all y'all in the chat. Make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to Flight Sports. You don't want to miss a second of coverage. We will keep you up to date with more Colorado news updates and more. Peace and love.
Flight Sports TV, man. That's my dude. I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.